Jason Harper adjusted the controls of the patrol ship, his eyes scanning the endless stretch of stars ahead. The sector was quiet. Too quiet, perhaps, for a system known for its fragile alliances. The hum of the engines and the occasional beep from the sensors were the only sounds in the cockpit. Jason had flown hundreds of patrols, but each mission carried the same weight. Humans were respected, sometimes feared, for their unpredictability and ingenuity, and every choice could ripple across the galaxy. The ship descended toward the small planet below, its surface marked by jagged mountains and sweeping plains. The outpost he was assigned to monitor was isolated, a cluster of research structures nestled in a valley. Jason's mind was focused on duty, but he also knew the importance of vigilance. Rogue factions often tested the borders here, seeking to provoke conflict or exploit resources. He landed with precise control, the hull of his ship settling onto the reinforced landing platform. Jason stepped out into the alien air, crisp and slightly metallic, carrying the faint scent of minerals and vegetation unfamiliar to humans. His suit adjusted the oxygen mixture automatically, but even through the visor he could see the planet's beauty. Two suns casting pale golden light over the landscape, crystal-clear rivers winding between mountains, and skies that shifted in strange, iridescent colors. It was a world of danger and wonder, and Jason knew both could be deadly if ignored. He began his routine inspection, walking along the outer perimeter of the outpost. Sensors, communication relays, and defense turrets hummed softly, a testament to human engineering. Jason's hand brushed the cool surface of the panels, and he couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. Humans had built this station from nothing, carving a safe place into an untamed world. It was during this inspection that he first noticed her. Lyra appeared almost without warning, stepping from the shimmering light of the horizon. She moved with grace that was almost unreal, her eyes bright, curious, and intelligent. Jason froze for a moment, unsure if he was seeing a projection or a living being. The Veyari, he reminded himself, were known for advanced biology and a deep connection with energy, sometimes appearing in ways humans could barely perceive. "Lieutenant Jason Harper," she said, her voice melodic but carrying strength. "You are far from your fleet." Jason swallowed, composing himself. "I am on patrol," he said cautiously. "This is my assigned sector. Who are you?" Lyra tilted her head, studying him. "I am Lyra, envoy of the Veyari. We observe, we learn, and occasionally we choose to interact." Her gaze lingered on him in a way that made his pulse quicken. "You humans are fascinating, bold, unpredictable. I like that." Jason forced a neutral expression, hiding the surge of curiosity and intrigue he felt. "I assume your appearance here is authorized?" he asked, keeping his tone professional. "Officially, perhaps not," Lyra said, a soft laugh escaping her lips. "But some choices are personal." She took a step closer, and Jason felt a strange warmth, as if her presence was touching more than his skin. "I have observed you, your decisions, your courage. I am interested in understanding more, directly." The words were innocent enough, but the way she said them carried a subtle weight, a pull he could not ignore. Jason reminded himself of duty. He was a human officer, first protector of his fleet, and he could not let curiosity cloud his judgment. Yet, as she spoke, he noticed the grace in her movements, the intelligence in her eyes, and something unspoken that drew him toward her. Over the following days, Lyra appeared at intervals, often when Jason was alone on patrol or monitoring sensors. They spoke of many things: the histories of their species, the philosophies that guided their people, and the challenges of leadership in times of uncertainty. She asked questions that made Jason think deeply, questions about loyalty, strength, and morality. Humans, she said, had an unusual way of seeing the world, and in those conversations Jason began to see her in a new light, not as a threat, but as a companion. One evening, the skies above the outpost glowed with twin suns setting simultaneously, casting long golden shadows over the valley. Jason had been reviewing sensor data when Lyra approached, her presence silent but felt. She stopped near the observation platform, her gaze following the rivers that caught the dying light. "You work too hard, human," she said softly. "There is beauty here. You should take a moment to see it." Jason smiled faintly. "I don't get many moments off duty." Lyra stepped closer, her energy resonating in ways he could almost sense. "Moments like this, they are rare, precious. You understand that better than most." Her voice dropped almost a whisper. "And some moments are meant to be shared." Jason turned to face her, heart pounding in his chest. There was a vulnerability in her expression, a hint of longing that mirrored his own unspoken feelings. Before he could speak, she leaned closer, so near that he could feel her warmth through the subtle force she emitted. "We'd make beautiful children, human," she whispered. The words were gentle, intimate, and shocking all at once. Jason froze. The rational part of his mind screamed caution. Duty, rules, the chain of command. His fleet. Yet the instinctive pull he felt toward her was undeniable. Lyra was unlike anything he had ever encountered, a being of grace, intelligence, and curiosity, showing him a connection that transcended species. He wanted to reach out to touch her hand, to explore the bond that seemed to pulse in the air between them. But he also knew the consequences. Any misstep could spark conflict, put the outpost at risk, and jeopardize everything he had sworn to protect. The tension between desire and duty gnawed at him as the suns dipped below the horizon, leaving the sky painted in deep purples and blues. Jason struggled to maintain control, aware that Lyra's gaze never left him. She was patient, sensing his internal conflict, allowing him the space to choose without pressure. Their fragile peace was shattered suddenly. Alarms blared across the outpost. Sensors detected movement, hostile, fast, and coordinated. Jason's heart raced, adrenaline surging as he grabbed his weapon and raced toward the control hub. Lyra followed, moving with unmatched speed and precision. "Rogue faction," Jason muttered, checking the monitors. "They're trying to breach the perimeter." Lyra's energy shifted, her presence sharpening. "We can stop them. Together." Jason hesitated. Allowing her to engage directly could expose secrets of the Veyari and put both of them in danger. Yet instinct told him she could make the difference between survival and disaster. Without a word, he nodded. Side by side, human ingenuity and Veyari skill combined. Jason directed the defenses, coordinating turret fire and automated drones, while Lyra manipulated energy fields, disabling enemy craft before they could land. The attackers were relentless, but Jason's tactical mind and Lyra's abilities created a deadly synergy. As they fought, Jason's admiration for her deepened. This was no ordinary ally. Lyra embodied everything humans aspired to be: adaptable, intelligent, and fearless. And yet, there was the other side of the connection, the subtle, undeniable pull that she stirred in him. By the time the last rogue ship was disabled, the valley was quiet again. Smoke rose from a few scorched areas, and sensors confirmed the outpost was intact. Jason leaned against the console, catching his breath, and found Lyra standing beside him, her energy settling into a calm glow. "You were incredible," Jason said finally, his voice rough with exertion and something more he couldn't name. Lyra tilted her head, a faint smile curving her lips. "As were you, human. There is potential in your kind, more than you know. Courage, ingenuity, and heart. It is rare." Jason's mind raced. The danger had passed, but the tension between them had not. He knew the coming days would be filled with choices, between duty and desire, between protocol and the extraordinary connection that now bound them. The galaxy was vast, filled with unknown threats and possibilities, but in that moment, Jason realized that humanity's influence reached far beyond strength alone. They inspired respect, awe, and even something as rare as affection, even among the stars. And somewhere deep inside, Jason Harper understood that the hardest mission of all might not be defending the outpost. It might be navigating the fragile, compelling bond he now shared with Lyra. Jason stood on the observation platform, the aftermath of the attack still lingering in the valley. Smoke rose from small scorched patches where rogue ships had tried to land. The outpost was intact, thanks to his quick decisions and Lyra's extraordinary abilities, but the danger had revealed how precarious peace truly was. Lyra stood beside him, her eyes reflecting the fading light of the twin suns. "You handled yourself well," she said softly. "Human courage is remarkable." Jason nodded, though his mind was restless. Courage alone had won the fight, but the bond he felt with Lyra went far beyond admiration. He glanced at her, sensing the subtle energy she emitted, a force that seemed almost alive, speaking directly to his thoughts. He wanted to speak, to reach out, but he hesitated, aware that duty and desire were at odds within him. Over the next few days, Jason resumed his patrol duties, but the air between him and Lyra had changed. Their interactions became layered with unspoken words and fleeting glances. She would appear when he was alone, sometimes offering insight into the systems of the outpost, other times asking questions about humanity's place in the galaxy. Each time, Jason felt the pull stronger, an attraction he had never experienced before, both thrilling and troubling. One evening, after a long day of maintenance and sensor calibration, Jason found himself standing outside, watching the twin suns set. Lyra approached quietly, her presence calming and yet impossible to ignore. "You seem burdened," she said, her voice gentle but probing. Jason exhaled, leaning against a railing. "It's the usual. Duty, responsibility, knowing every choice could mean life or death for someone. And now there's this." He gestured vaguely, unable to find words for the pull he felt toward her. Lyra tilted her head, studying him. Desire and duty, two forces humans often struggle to balance. "You are not alone in this, Jason Harper." He looked at her, realizing that she understood in ways no one else could. "It's not just that I'm drawn to you. It's that everything about this, being here, protecting the outpost, facing danger, I feel it more strongly because of you." Lyra's lips curved into a faint smile. "That is the human way," she said softly. "We Vayari observe it often. You feel deeply, act decisively, and yet hesitate when the heart conflicts with duty." Jason swallowed, his chest tight. "I don't want to fail anyone. I don't want to let the fleet or you down." "You will not," Lyra said, stepping closer. "I trust you. And sometimes trust is the greatest strength of all." Her hand hovered near his, and he felt an electric warmth at the thought of touching her. For a moment, the universe seemed to shrink around them, just the two of them, connected in ways words could not fully capture. Their moment was interrupted by the incoming communication alert from the outpost's command center. Jason tapped the console, listening to the message. Higher authorities were aware of the recent attack. They were sending a team to reinforce the outpost and wanted him to return immediately. Jason's jaw tightened. Leaving now would mean abandoning the connection he was beginning to understand, yet staying could violate fleet orders and potentially expose Lyra's presence. Duty demanded departure, desire demanded presence. He felt the weight of choice pressing down like gravity. Lyra sensed his inner conflict. "The decision is yours, human. But remember, courage is not just in facing enemies, it is also in facing the heart." Jason exhaled, realizing she was right. Courage had carried him through the battle, but now it required a different kind of bravery. One that balanced logic with instinct, responsibility with longing. He made his choice. "I will stay," he said firmly, surprising even himself. "For now. I will ensure the outpost is secure, and I will learn everything I can from you." Lyra's eyes brightened, a mixture of relief and admiration. "That is wise," she said, "and it is rare for a human to act so decisively when so much is at stake." Over the following weeks, Jason and Lyra worked side by side. He taught her about human strategies, mechanical systems, and defensive tactics. She showed him the subtleties of Vayari energy manipulation, advanced communication, and survival techniques on their world. Together, they formed a bond that combined intellect, courage, and respect, a partnership that transcended species. During their shared training, Lyra often lingered close, her presence warm and comforting. Jason began to recognize patterns in the Vayari energy she projected, sensing when she was concerned, curious, or amused. The connection went beyond attraction. It was a merging of awareness and understanding, He began to see the galaxy not as a vast and lonely place, but as one filled with possibilities, where humans could leave a mark far greater than weapons or fleets could achieve. One night, while monitoring sensors in the control hub, Jason noticed unusual activity near the outpost perimeter. Small, fast-moving objects approached, and he recognized the telltale signs of another rogue faction attack. He quickly alerted Lyra. "This time we must be ready," he said, feeling a surge of determination. "We cannot let them breach the outpost." Lyra nodded, her energy coalescing into a protective field. "Then we fight together, human." The attack came swiftly. Jason coordinated turret defenses and automated drones, while Lyra used her abilities to intercept and disable enemy craft before they could land. The battle was intense, but they fought in perfect synchrony. Jason's tactical mind anticipated movements, while Lyra's energy allowed them to neutralize threats efficiently. During the fight, a damaged enemy vessel broke through the perimeter and headed straight for the command center. Jason acted without hesitation, using a combination of human ingenuity and Lyra's guidance to reroute defensive systems and protect the structure. They managed to neutralize the vessel just in time. After the last of the attackers were defeated, Jason and Lyra stood side by side, breathing heavily. "You were incredible," Jason said, his voice filled with admiration. "As were you," Lyra replied. Her gaze softened and she extended her hand. "Humans are remarkable. Your courage, your intelligence, and your heart. It is rare among all species I have observed." Jason took her hand, feeling a warmth that radiated through him. For the first time, he allowed himself to acknowledge the connection fully, not just as desire, but as trust, respect, and understanding. "Lyra," he said, his voice steady but filled with emotion, "I don't know what the future holds, but I know this. Whatever happens, humans will always fight for what they believe in. And I believe in this, in us." Lyra's smile was radiant, and she pressed her hand briefly to his chest. "Then we are aligned, human, not just in battle, but in spirit. That is how true bonds are formed." The days that followed were filled with preparation and vigilance. Reinforcements arrived, and the outpost was fully secured. Jason and Lyra continued their exchanges, learning from one another and exploring the depths of their connection. They trained, laughed, and shared quiet moments under the twin suns, each day reinforcing the bond that had begun as curiosity and grown into mutual respect and trust. Finally, the fleet issued new orders. Jason was to return to the command station with reports and a full assessment of the outpost's defenses. Leaving was inevitable, but the decision no longer felt painful or uncertain. He knew that humanity's influence stretched beyond the battlefield. It was in courage, ingenuity, and the connections they forged across the stars. Before departing, Jason and Lyra stood together on the observation platform one last time. The suns dipped below the horizon, casting golden light across the valley. "You will return, won't you?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. Jason took her hand, his grip firm and sincere. "Yes, I will return. Humanity does not abandon bonds that matter, and this matters." Lyra's energy shimmered with quiet joy. "Then we are partners, human, in duty and understanding and in everything else the stars allow us to share." As Jason boarded his ship, he glanced back at Lyra, feeling a sense of hope and resolve. The galaxy was vast, unpredictable, and dangerous, but humanity had a way of shining through even the darkest reaches, and sometimes it was not weapons or strategy, but courage, heart, and connection that made humans truly extraordinary. Jason lifted off, leaving the outpost behind, but carrying with him a bond that transcended worlds, a reminder that humanity could inspire respect, admiration, and even love among the stars. The adventure was far from over, and Jason knew that whatever awaited him in the future, he would face it with the same courage that had carried him through patrols, battles, and the unknown. For in the vast expanse of space, humans were more than survivors. They were creators, allies, and beacons of hope. And somewhere out there, Lyra waited, a living testament to what humanity could achieve and what bonds could endure across the galaxy.